Possible by our patrons and supporters. Please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/bookofhours or join Rockfin at rockfin.com/bookofhours. You can also make a one-time donation with Cash App or use PayPal at paypal.me/bookofhours. Thank you. Well, hello.
Hello.
In the nick of time. Hello, Rockfin.
Hi.
We're waiting to connect. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So we are crazy busy today, but we wanted to just go ahead and do our bi-weekly podcast today. Our Bookmark podcast. JP, take it away.
Well, today we have a guest. Like our last Bookmark, we had a guest. Today we have our guest Luther Beckett who's now living in Albania. He's a U.S. citizen. He was. Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
There we are.
Sorry.
He was living in Vietnam when the COVID thing happened. He'll tell us the story about what was going on there, what was life like before and after. And then how he ended up in Albania and other stuff. We met Luther because he was following us, seeing our videos and talking to us, and he started telling us about his life and he's had quite a remarkable life. So we'll bring him on and find out more about him and everything surrounding him. So welcome, Luther. How are you?
Hey, Luther.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm just really honored to talk with you guys. It's just great because I think that you're really good at what you do, and it's a pleasure to be here. You have great guests, and I'm like, what are you doing with me?
Well, we like you.
We like you, and
we found you
you.
so fascinating.
Well,
I mean, honestly,
and
your life is just.
Yeah, and we talked about maybe developing some of the stories around the things that you were sending us, and we still would like to talk to you about that. So
okay,
we'll do that in the future, but not right now. But we'll talk about it in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm still interested in working with you on that. So
and that's good.
Yeah, and that's how we kind of really started talking in the first place, right?
Yeah,
and that was a little while ago. And at the time, gosh, I don't remember. Okay, well, you can tell us the timeline. I think you got in touch with us, maybe before you moved to Albania. But let's start.
Let's start from the very beginning.
Well, not the very very beginning, but at least in Vietnam.
Right.
Yeah.
You told us earlier that you moved to Vietnam in 2016. Why'd you go to Vietnam?
Well, why did I leave Hungary?
You were in Hungary before that. Okay. Wow. Okay.
I was in Hungary but I had now that is a whole nother long story. I don't want to stretch it out too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there on as a student in 2009 through 2011, and on a State Department scholarship, the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship. So. Which is like kind of a funny thing because like I realized that kind of the State Department, which is like the CIA, throws shit at the wall, which is study abroad students is shit at the wall,
Right. We got a budget. Let's see what happens here.
Let's see what happens here, and it's like, well, we've tried other things with Luther. Let's see what we can do with him here.
Wow. Okay.
Now,
so you were studying abroad in Hungary, and then you went to Vietnam.
Well, no, I was studying abroad in Hungary.
Right.
I came back for a year to Tennessee.
Okay.
And it was one of the worst years of my life. And I swore I would never, ever set foot in the United States again without regime change.
Yeah.
I know,
Well,
right?
I was talking to a friend who lives in Istanbul, and she always refers to the United States as the empire.
As the empire.
Yeah. And it was very strange to me because, I really like Hungary, and but I wanted to see other parts of Europe and things. And after my horrible year in the States in 2012, it was like exactly a year, almost to the day, right around September 1st. I go to Portugal, to Lisbon,
Okay.
just sort of out of the blue. I sent my things there, my guitars, everything, and I go to Portugal, and I lived there for a few months, and I figured out that it just really wasn't for me. I wasn't getting the vibe, and I was feeling pulled more back toward Hungary,
Okay.
but I had some stops along the way in France and stuff, and I lived in Hungary from spring of 2013 to 2016 when I went to Vietnam. And, after a few years of Budapest, I was just like watching it, and it was really upsetting just kind of seeing how the EU had just kind of ruined Europe. It just taken, my first visit to Europe was in the 80s when you had to change currencies and you had to get out. I did the Eurail thing back then when it was much more primitive.
Right.
You had border control on the trains in the middle of the night, shaking you for your passport. But it was cute.
Okay.
That's back when you had those Let's Go books,
Right.
Yeah,
Europe on $5 a day.
those books. We had them for that trip.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
So Luther, I have to say that with all of the traveling, I mean, when I think of you, with all of the conversations that we've had and all of the interaction that we've had, when I think of you, I think of traveler. In fact, I just retweeted our conversation here, and I said I'm talking to my international traveling friend, Luther.
Oh.
So what in the world, like, it must be really difficult for you to deal with the travel restrictions right now in the age of COVID, right?
It's so funny. I get pegged that way all the time as the traveler. And no, you got me all wrong. I am such a homebody.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm an insane homebody. I'm like, but I'm looking for a home.
I know. We're all like, so you're traveling the world looking for a home. So what happened in Vietnam? Tell us. Let's get up to speed. What happened 2 years ago in Vietnam?
Well, the thing is, like, I did, like, I tried Hungary for a few years and it just wasn't working out. And like, and I had a girlfriend there and stuff, and everything there was wrong. And there weren't any beaches. And I just said, I got to go where there's beaches,
And
interesting. Yes, we're very familiar with the need
that.
for a beach.
Yes.
Being a couple of Californians living in the Rust Belt, we totally get it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just, I'm water crazy. I'm one of those people.
Same here.
I grew up I was inland a little bit, but I could smell the salt. So it wasn't that far,
Yeah.
What ended up happening was I just kind of skipped. I just kind of put all my most precious stuff in a storage locker in Budapest and split. and just like, and I said, I'm going to go for 3 months.
Okay. Just 3 months. Just 3 months.
In 2016.
Okay.
I'm going to go for 3 months. And I'll come back and sort out and figure out where I'm going to go to next or whatever. And so, yeah, it's like I went on a workaway thing. Do you know about workaway?
It's a visa.
No, it's called Workaway. It's a website, workaway.info.
Oh,
and it's actually, it's actually interesting. I can't say it's bad. It hooks you up with places that offer you a place to stay in exchange, and meals and something in exchange for working.
Okay.
And there's a lot of cool things, and so you don't have to pay out for hotel fees and stuff. And it's a lot of the jobs are very cool places. And so I said, okay, I found a teaching job like that.
Okay.
And I said, so I'm like, okay, well, I can save some money, whatever, something like this, by not having to pay rent and all that. And so I went to there on a workaway, and I run into a French guy. I go to Haiphong. I don't know. I picked Haiphong, delusional that the beach was right there, and it isn't. It's not right in city limits. You don't just ride your motorbike to the beach.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way. It's just like, that is delusional on my part. There is no nice beach within an easy ride from Haiphong.
Right. So you go to Haiphong and you teach there, or what happens?
Yeah, I go to this workaway thing, and I run into some French guy in the street, and he's just like, "What are you doing here, man?" And he's like, "Where are you from? What are you doing here?" He's asking me all these questions. He turns into a friend. Turns out him and his wife, his Vietnamese wife, have an English center. He pulls me in. He starts paying me. He says, don't do that stuff. Don't work for nothing. Come on, get paid.
Get paid.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I realized in Haiphong, here was the funny part about Haiphong at the time. I guarantee you it's not like this now. But back then, you could walk down the street, and if you had blue eyes, you would get just you're walking down the street. People like yank you by the arm, trying to pull you into their school to teach.
Oh my God! I mean, popular. I would imagine.
I really had people approaching me on this, just walking down the street, and boom, getting approached.
Wow! Amazing.
Wow. Oh, it's a good thing it was about teaching.
What was funny is because like the only Hungarian guy I ever met was a guy who, because he was blue-eyed, got pulled into teaching English. A Hungarian.
Yeah, but did he speak English?
Wow.
Well, yeah, I knew him, so yeah, he did. But but that was the kind of weird thing that went on there.
Okay.
And
so you were in high demand.
Huh?
You were in high demand.
Well, it was easy to get work, and it was off the books. It was cash. It was just boom.
Yeah.
And,
couldn't do that now. Yeah. For sure. So let's fast forward. Were you in Haiphong like the entire time you were in Vietnam?
Oh no. I was in Haiphong, and then like I started to go to Hanoi more, and I started to like that city. I kind of went to chasing a girl, and. But
yeah, it happens.
I know, and then she dropped me when I get there, and then not too long after I met Na, and I was kind of like, but like the teaching just kind of totally dropped in Hanoi, and I realized that Haiphong is it's kind of weird because like I know about you too in San Francisco, and I think about my time in San Francisco and how San Francisco has something that also Philly has and Haiphong has and Boston has, port towns. Baltimore, port towns are port towns, and things are a little bit more slippery there and kind of semi-legal.
There's definitely an underground scene where people get paid on the side and under the table.
Well, in many areas,
in
too.
many ways. Yes, for sure.
And so Hanoi was like that. And me and Na were there, and I just couldn't get any work. So I ended up getting work online, teaching online. Because, they're very strict in some sectors of Vietnam. There's very super strict about you have to have the degree and everything, your credentials online. I don't have my BA. I'm one course away from it, an algebra course.
Right. Well, it happens. So you're teaching online, and you meet a girl. So let's talk about what happened in 2020.
Me and Na were together for a year in Hanoi. Then we moved to Haiphong.
Okay.
And you have to understand, at this time, Haiphong was very loose and. It's a very tourist town, and they're very. Right. They allow all kinds of partying from Westerners, and they don't care. The police look the other way.
It's a destination city. It really is. Haiphong.
No, this is Hoi An.
Oh, okay.
Hoi An, where we moved to.
Oh, you went to Hoi An. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, we moved to Hoi An.
Sorry, trying to keep it all straight. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's not easy.
A lot of places. So let's talk about let's go ahead and talk about, in the interest of time, what brought you to Albania? So you were in Vietnam.
Okay. Here's the thing. So I'm with my girlfriend Na. We get really close and everything. We go to Hoi An because it's not as polluted. It's a seaside town. Right. We found a house with a garden next to it that we could work with. A very cute little house, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we got we got a dog and a cat and all those things that make a home.
You found your home. So you were talking earlier about how you're kind of a homebody. It sounds like you were really nesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's kind of funny. She's my wife, just not legally. Nah.
Right. Oh,
wow. It's NGA. Nah. She's not legally my wife, but she's my wife.
Okay.
Yeah,
of course.
And she has a son, and well, he's not really my son, but he's my little dude or whatever. He's but
you're nesting. You found a home.
Exactly.
You were able to be the man of the house and take care of your lovely wife and her son, and everybody was getting along. And then
she's working, and
everything's good.
Well, the thing is, you have to understand, this is a booming beach town at the time.
Oh yeah,
booming. Right. Where we're talking about, there's just all these souvenir shops and all that crap. Yeah. They're just doing incredibly well, as well as some really legit good tailors and shoemakers and all this stuff.
It sounds like a really lovely place to live. I would like to live there.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
One very famous San Francisco musician. I've met there a couple times. She's had dinner at my house.
Wow.
I won't say who because I promise to keep her name out of it.
You're not a name dropper, Luther. We understand.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, she really she loves that town so much, and and she was there right at the breakout. Oh my God, she was.
Oh, really?
Her were hanging out right when the shit was hitting the fan, right in early mid-March, and she was like, "Am I going to be able to get home?" Blah 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 blah.
Wow, I know, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that experience for you.
Yeah.
And how heartbreaking it is that you because you're not there. You're in Albania now. So
you understand it's like I knew my neighborhood. I walked my dog through my neighborhood twice a day.
It was your home. Exactly.
Yeah. Like all the neighbors ask about me now still, and my wife's co-worker,
it's such an incredible story to tell. And when I mentioned to a couple of people that I knew this person who I've been chatting with on Twitter, and we've been having these interactions, who had to leave Vietnam and move to Albania, they were really curious about that story. They're like, well, we want to hear what exactly happened. Right. So please tell us.
Okay, the visa situation was like this before. The immigration didn't look very closely at all to visas and visa companies and the way visa companies were doing business. And I was not there on a tourist visa. I was there on a business visa, but I didn't have a company. So technically that was not all legal and stuff, So last May, Vietnam was just cleaning house. Anybody and there were just all these people with these illegitimate visas. It's like the visa companies aren't supposed to hand them out. They're supposed to get some stamped document from some other department, whatever, and put it together. But they don't. They just bullshit their way through and rubber stamp it and take the money and, because nobody cared,
Right.
And suddenly they started to care. They decided that they're going to kick everyone out. So
was that before or after you left?
That was before you left.
Oh, that was before I left. Long before I left.
So
that was.
You noticed.
So it was May of 2020 that started happening.
No, May of 2019.
No. No, they didn't really clamp down on the visas, right? Like mine, I had no problem renewing it at all.
Okay.
In 2020.
Okay. So March of 2020 is when the pandemic hit the
world.
And
now my visa renewed in May or June of 2020, and even though the pandemic had hit already,
your visa was already renewed.
My visa, no, it wasn't already renewed. It was renewed after the fact, a few months into it.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, they just didn't. They just kind of said, "Oh yeah, you're okay still." But then the visa crackdown was 2021.
Okay.
But
you know what? I want to, before we move on, I want to back up a little bit, because before we went on the stream, you were talking about how, Vietnam before and after March 2020.
Right.
And you were saying that it was pretty loose before, and then they really started cracking down and becoming a lot more strict about things. So tell us that contrast. Give us an idea of what it was like.
Oh, I mean, really... it was nuts there, the stuff that was going on. And I mean, it was no, a lot of it I wasn't into it at all. It was Westerners coming there and being assholes, and really getting into seedy shit, a lot of drugs and into the prostitution scene and all that, and heavy duty. So it was kind of, a lot of it was kind of really, it was kind of especially there was a lot of drugs in Haiphong,
Okay.
And a lot of drugs in Hoi An that I was aware of, you know,
Okay.
and
So that's
everywhere.
why do you think that that's why it went from being kind of a cool seaside casual community to suddenly very authoritarian and very strict
Oh no,
and
no,
and the
no,
authorities?
no, no. The police, okay, the police look the other way and take payoffs. Okay,
Oh,
for instance,
okay.
oh, you know, it's really funny. This is one of my favorite stories. There's a place in Da Nang, right, called Smoky, right, and it's got like a big joint out front, right, and you go in and they deal weed, and you just go in and buy what you want. Weed is illegal as hell there.
Okay.
The police go into Smoky whenever there's going to be raids, and they say, "Hey, we're going to have raids for these weeks. Don't have any stuff."
Okay, let me check my calendar, make sure that
and the guys at Smoky, they'll just say, "No, don't come for these 2 weeks."
okay.
Right. And after
so everybody's on the take.
right. So
Everybody
then
knows what's
after
up.
the police show up and tell them the news, they're like, okay, so now, here's
Right. Right. Got it.
Well, the police are paid off regularly. The corruption and like the nepotism in government there is legendary. It's
Okay.
like it's very much that way. I mean, and the thing is, I don't want to paint a bad picture about Vietnam because I've trained army guys, okay? And I dealt with like a Viet Cong colonel guy who was one of the loveliest people I ever met in my life. I just love this guy, drinking rice wine with him in Sunday afternoon lunches.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beautiful stuff. And, so I don't want to tarnish that and say like, oh, Vietnam's just a corrupt cesspool. It's not that way at all. There are true believers who work in the police and in the army. And, I mean, when I taught English to the army guys, these guys were, you can tell they were sweethearts. They were true believers.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
So I mean, I don't want to paint a negative picture about Vietnam in that, like or paint with a broad brush, I should say.
Sure. Okay.
But I'll paint with like that 2-inch brush. And I'll say like the police in High Phong are corrupt as hell. That I will say like with oh my God, it's laughable. Where
Right.
like they were asking me for money and I said no, get away.
Wow. That's incredible. So okay, so let's talk about, again, I really want to get to that point where you're nesting, you're with your
Right.
wife, you're happy, you finally found that home that you've always dreamed of.
Yeah.
You've traveled the world and you found a place that you want to settle.
Yeah.
And you're happy, and 2020 happens. So what happened?
And this is like almost 2 years in us being in Hoi An, and I really loved it where we were. We like our landlord; he's great.
Yeah.
And when it first came on, it was just like horrible because like the first big effect is that Na's son Wang Ang couldn't go to school anymore. School was closed,
Right.
So that's the first thing is the schools are closed and like all this. Oh, you got to wear a mask everywhere and all this kind of crap,
Yeah.
And I'm a fresh air freak.
Yeah.
And they were hardcore early on about like not allowing you outside of your house without a mask under any circumstances.
Wow.
So like, the way I stay healthy is cycling.
Good.
I'm,
exactly.
I'm a cycling freak and I'm fast and I love to ride and I like to do a real workout of a ride,
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, I got it. Well, if I'm going to do that, I got to do it with a mask on. Are you kidding me?
Really?
You
No, fuck off. No way.
You got to be out of your mind. That's unhealthy.
Exactly. This one over here is a big time cyclist.
Yeah.
Like bicycles everywhere, even in the snow.
Right.
I can't imagine him wearing a mask.
No.
JP, you're probably one up on me, but I bet you I could keep up with you for a day or two.
Well,
I don't know if I'm that fast, but yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm into it. Let's put it that way. And
Well, I mean, I was a pack mule with a bike,
that's
from.
what he is too.
Yeah.
Like he uses his bike the way some people use their cars.
Right.
Oh, I have some photos to send you. Okay,
Yeah.
from I did a ride 11 years ago through Europe with
Wow.
my bike, pannier bags front and back,
Wow.
tent,
Nice.
sleeping bag, guitar.
Love it. So this whole business. So here you are, biking across Europe with your panniers and your guitars on the back of your bike. You are all about being free, but at the same time, there was a part of you that wanted to find a home and settle down, and you found it. So next thing you know, you're being told that when you're on your bike, you have to wear a mask, that your poor child can't go to school anymore. People are being, really authoritarian and probably.
The beaches are closed. We're in a beach town. The beaches are closed.
Oh no! Yeah, awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're in a beach town, and the beaches are
happening.
closed.
Yeah, that was happening other places too.
Right.
Yeah.
We saw photographs of people that were, at their home beach side where they live near the beach, and they're just sitting on the beach, and the cops come and try to take them off the beach. Like, this is not about a pandemic. This is not about a health crisis. This is about authoritarianism.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right.
And they just flicked a switch in Vietnam, and it was on. But the thing is that I have to tell you that the Vietnam police. They even tell you when they're going to come around for traffic tickets, we're going to be looking for helmet violations on these days in these areas, and they post it.
Crazy. Never heard of such a thing. That's insane. That's hilarious.
I mean, so it's kind of like, it was kind of weird there. It was kind of like, like usually you're used to the police just kind of saying, well, what the deal is they're just saying, look, just do what we say and we'll leave you alone. And they you got to throw it out there. They're just like, look, just wear your helmet for a couple of weeks, you assholes. Yeah. And you do it and they're happy,
Right.
And that's like what I was used to with them. That's like an example,
Right. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, and if you run into them, they smile with you and stuff. They turned all authoritarian and mad.
They weren't nice and friendly anymore. They weren't
and people
just wear your helmet. Everything will be fine. Don't worry. Next thing you know, they're like, put on your mask. Like, very authoritarian.
Mask. Yeah. Well, of course it's in Vietnam, so they just say mask, like that.
Like you're an animal or something.
Yeah.
So
like they're an animal.
What led you to leave Vietnam? Like what and how difficult was that for you?
Well, here's the thing: is what really led me to leave was they told me I had to because of the kind of visa I had.
I see. Okay.
And so at the end of May of last year, I pretty much got my marching orders, and and I had to get like a 10-day extension just to be able to get out of the country.
Wow.
And and they gave me that, and they were okay about they weren't totally unreasonable, I guess.
Okay.
And so here's what the deal was. So the reason that I was kept there and put in quarantine and all that was that they what they did was that they like I told you, I bought an airline ticket to go to Serbia,
right.
To Belgrade.
Uh-huh.
Well, the thing is, when I bought the ticket, I didn't buy it from the, like from Serbia Airways or whatever.
Okay.
Like who I bought it from was like some ticket reseller, like one of these,
like a third party, right?
Yeah, like eBookers, maybe it was, or something.
Okay, so you were planning on going to Belgrade, is that correct?
Yeah. But here's what the deal is. Okay, so here's the stupid PCR rule.
Right.
The stupid PCR rule is that, well, within 72 hours of landing, you have to have had your PCR test. Okay.
Right.
Or your rapid antigen test. Okay. Now the irony here is, when I picked Serbia, and this happened more than once, I picked Serbia, and at the time that I picked them, there were no restrictions. You didn't have to have a test. None.
Okay. Right? Okay. But then they pulled a fast one on you.
I bought the ticket, and then all of a sudden I have to get a test.
So what happened? Did your test come up positive, negative?
No. My test was fine, right?
Okay. Good.
And but I figure, because I have these tickets, and I'm starting in Da Nang, I figure, and I look at, and like there's a thing there, like if your layover or something, is going to take more time or whatever, like the Serbians were very forgiving,
Right. Okay.
And like, so supposedly the Serbians were forgiving, and it looked like just because of my layovers and crap, I was going to be a little bit over. Okay. So
I see. So it was the 72-hour issue that had ended because of your layovers, but they were like, okay, it's okay because it's not your fault. It's because of the layovers. Right.
Right. Exactly. Right. So they had that policy, but the person at the airline made up her mind. She was just panicky. I think she was just freaking out for no good reason.
Yeah.
And kind of said, well, okay, no. Well, you can't fly because like they have this policy, and they say, and she brought up something. She brought up something else which was 100% untrue. She also said, if you're going to Serbia, you have to have a ticket, a return ticket, and that's like 100% not true. 100% not true.
Wow. Americans out lied. Okay.
Not lied. That's a good question. Semantically,
I mean, they're lying all the time, Luther. Come on.
Well, she made it up on the spot, so she didn't know it. So yeah, it's technically a lie.
She did not want you going to Serbia.
She didn't want me going. Exactly.
Yeah. So were you ever in Serbia? You were leaving Vietnam to go to Serbia. Were you ever in Serbia? Because right now you're in Albania.
May or early June. No. So what happens is I get stopped right there, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, well, shit, what do I do now? And I said, I book a hotel room. So I get a hotel room, and I call up my airline, and I manage to get the money back and stuff. And I go back to Da Nang. And when we get on the plane, they announce on the plane, everybody who is leaving Ho Chi Minh City is going to be quarantined when they land in Da Nang.
Are you serious? So
I am 100% serious.
Okay, so they made a unilateral decision that every single person who leaves Ho Chi Minh City will automatically be in quarantine automatically. Like
automatically. Boom.
Like everybody on the plane.
Oh, well, I was in Ho Chi Minh City 3 days too, and I have to tell you, it was 3 of the most hellish days of my life.
Of course. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm wandering the streets there, and it's kind of like if you don't have a mask on, there's a cop around to harass you boom, right? Wow. I figured out a workaround. The workaround is that you there's a real good vendor with sugar cane juice and ice, you know.
Okay.
And you got a sugar cane juice with ice. You put your mask on your chin, and you have the straw in your mouth, and you just walk along.
All right, well, that's what a lot, Luther, that's what a lot of people were doing in general. They were making little cans of Pringles on the airplanes last for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, just so that they didn't have to put on a mask. So
I know, yeah, exactly. That was the mentality.
Okay,
so
you're stuck in
well, you know, when I was stuck in Ho Chi Minh City, I got a hotel room. I got my money back on my ticket like right away, which was amazing. And you know, and I just like the next day I went to the airport. I bought a ticket back to Da Nang. On the flight, they tell us we're all going to be quarantined. I get back, and so like I have to take a taxi from Da Nang to back to Hoi An, and I'm quarantined then for 3 weeks. So all I can do is go out into my garden, and that's it. And it's a small garden.
So let me just stop you for a minute. For somebody who likes to cycle, who is an international traveler, who hosts famous musicians from San Francisco at their home, who lives near the beach, you are basically imprisoned in your home for 3 weeks, and you can only go to your garden, like you're a prisoner. Okay,
right.
So this must have really affected your mental state, your emotional
100%.
state. It must have been pure torture for you. Okay.
I've lived through a lot of things, so I'm really used to grinding tortures. I really am, and like, I'm just, and you know, I'm experienced enough to be able to say like, I know what these fuckers are up to. You know, so it's not like I don't feel like that kind of anxiety. I kind of, it's like I kind of get resigned. You know.
So well, let me. So how was the Vietnamese government? You know, like what was their attitude at this point? Like, you know, here you're trying to leave the country. You can't leave the country.
Right. So this is
and you get quarantined when you try to leave the country.
Good question.
Luther, they told you that you had to leave the country, and you said, fine, I'll leave the country. And then they wouldn't let you leave, and they made you quarantine in the country that they told you that you had to leave. So what the fuck is it? Make up your mind, Vietnam. What do you want from me? Like, that's kind of how I would have treated it. Like,
well, I was sort of laughing at it a little, you know, in a way, you know, in one sense, it's horrible.
Yeah. Okay.
In one sense, it's laughable because I mean, it's totally Keystone Cops, which I'm used to in Vietnam. They're very Keystone Cops.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, kind of they're true to form there, you know. I'm not questioning that. I'm not.
Yeah, they're basically just doing what comes naturally, right? They're basically just being themselves.
100%.
So you're basically in prison in your home, probably driving your poor wife crazy because.
No, I wasn't because you know, like I said, I'm not kidding you. I was really resigned, and you know, I always, you know, as long as I have a guitar around, and you know, I could do some cooking, and I worked out a routine. I cheated a little bit. I walked my dog in the dark, early and late. So
that you can be free. Yeah.
I walked my little Hellion Grinch along.
What kind of dog do you have? What kind of dog is it?
He's royalty, Coton de Toulouse, and
of course, yes. Beautiful dog. Yeah. Coton. Yeah.
You know what they are.
I do. Well, you know, yes, I do.
She's into the
I'm into the boutique dogs.
Well, you know, and here's the funny thing is I never was. And Grinch just fell into my lap. Aww. He had been really he fell into my wife's lap. But I'll send you some pictures. But Grinch is a sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is something, and we have a cat, Marcy.
Okay.
And Marcy she's wonderful. She's a little murderous thing. She likes to kill snakes and rats and lizards and everything and eats them for real.
Wow. Okay.
She is the Ted Nugent of cats. She just, if she kills it, she eats it and makes boots out of the rest.
Cats are great. That's awesome. So how did you? So finally, you get your 3 weeks quarantine is over. So you have to try again, and they're like, okay, yeah, you have to go.
Well, here's what happens though. In the meantime, because like you said, because there was this visa stuff where they said,
right,
because of your visa, you have to leave the country. And then all of a sudden it works out with, well, I go to this other visa company and something, blah, blah, blah. And they and somebody somehow lets it through again where I'm on a month to month.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I went from having yearly visas where I didn't have to travel out of the country. And once a year I had an annual to being month to month.
Right.
And it was stressful. I never knew when they were going to shut me down or anything.
Right.
And the whole summer was locked down. The beaches were closed down except for, a few days here and there. It was just hell being there. It was the masking was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I did, it's so funny. I have one in my back pocket and I haven't had to use it. But I use this site that is like Alibaba. It's called Lazada.
Okay.
And I found masks there. And this is my mask that I found. This. Do
you wear that, Luther? Do you wear that in Albania on your face?
No. Not only do I wear it in Albania on my face. Okay, I would. Okay, like if you were. If I was taking my motorbike for a ride in Hoi An, I would get, people giving me hassles, So I was wearing this, like on my chin while riding my motorbike and stuff.
Good for you. Okay.
But it was really funny, like, because when I eventually left and I traveled all the way from, I ended up going out of Hanoi, not Ho Chi Minh City. After the last time I saw Ho Chi Minh City, I never wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
But I went to Hanoi to get out, and I wore one of these masks on all the planes all the way over, and in the airports and everything. And I got away with it the whole time. Only one person said something. A lady in the Rome airport. She said, "Okay, that's very funny, but to get on the plane, you're going to need a real mask." And then I went on the plane with this one.
Well, you're like,
so clearly, Rome,
really, lady.
Yeah, so clearly, Rome is a much more uptight city than any other place that you were.
I don't know. I was in, was it Dubai? I think they're uptight. It was. I was like in the Dubai airport with it. I didn't care.
That's great. So you traveled a bunch of different places before you ended up like
right.
what?
I remember reading your email to us,
and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, where is he going? Like, you're going to all these places.
Well,
I living in airports. Or
I'll tell you what. It was. I don't like to journal.
Okay.
The closest thing I'm going to do, like to journaling, is I'm going to email to somebody what's on my mind.
Well, you sure did. You did that with us, and we loved it. We were so entertained by it. We were absolutely.
We both were scratching our heads.
We were just like, "Where is he today?"
Yeah, we're like, what the hell's going on? This poor guy. What the hell?
Where's he going to land? So, what made you choose Albania?
Well, okay. Now here's the thing. Just like and this is one of those fool me once, fool me twice kind of things.
Sure.
Yeah, it was like before when I tried to go to Serbia, the thing that was the lure when I bought my ticket was no PCR test.
Exactly. That was
so I buy a ticket for Albania.
The last one on you. right?
They did the same thing. They pulled a fast one on me with the Albania, too. It's kind of like all of a sudden, oh, you need to have a PCR test. Oh, shit. But this time I had it worked out better. But this is one of the weirdest parts of that whole trip. When I left, and the reason, the thing is too, okay, you have to realize there was this whole summer went by where every month it was heart stopping, whether, are they going to kick me out of the visa on the visa this month? Well, I don't know, it's like this. And, I didn't have, if I had a university diploma, I can get a job teaching. I don't even like to teach, but apparently I'm good enough at it where, I'm as good as like the average teacher in Vietnam, which it doesn't say much. The average English teacher, they're nincompoops. They just are. I'm a nincompoop at it. I won't lie. I don't do that. I'm not in that business. But I could have got, with a college degree, I can be one of those nincompoop teachers. I have the credentials. Otherwise, I got the teaching certificates and stuff.
Good. Okay.
Now, so I'm like kind of thinking of this and looking at this and that, and like, trying to pass my final algebra exam and everything. And, and the summer goes by, and as it's going by, the thing that's freaking me out is I'm seeing more and more news about the government cracking down on people who just say anything negative against their COVID response.
Okay.
Wow.
Like people posted stuff on Facebook and went to jail for 2 years and this kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God.
And where was that? You were
Where
seeing
did you
this?
see that?
I was seeing this in popping up in a couple of I'll try to get you the links for that.
But where were you living at the time when you were reading that?
I'm in Hoi An, like living with my wife and kid and
So
animals.
You were in Hoi An and you were starting to really feel the dangers of the overreaching government control.
Well, yeah, definitely, because kind of like the whole town had been shut down for more than a year. It's kind of it went from bustling, crazy ass, wonderful, fun, kind of beach town to I don't know, to Auschwitz. It's like boom.
Okay, so it was just awful. It was a total dystopian nightmare. And everybody is just traumatized.
Well, it's like kind of weird watching businesses close, seeing for rent signs go up. Like our rent got cut in half because, what we would do, our lease would come up for renewal. And, as the COVID kept going on and on, it's like, and people and more foreigners got pushed out. They kept pushing out more and more of us.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like there's more and more stuff open. And
I see. So people were, so people had a choice of where to live, and
rents were dropping, and I would just go to my landlord, and my wife would go to the landlord and say, hey, look, she would go after I said, hey, nah, go tell him this. And I'd say, look.
Go get him to reduce our rent.
If we leave, nobody's going to come in after us. You're not going to have anything.
So when was the last time you saw her?
Early September. Like I left there, so there was the whole summer I was there. It was like early June when, late end of May, early June, right in there when I got kicked out of Vietnam, but not let go. Kicked out.
So you're kicked out, but they won't let you go.
I was kicked go or whatever, something, whatever it was.
I can't even wrap my head around
it sounds sort of like a scenario out of like, that movie Casablanca or something where everybody's stuck there and kind
of like, in limbo, like we're not supposed to be here. And
something. There's a detail I think maybe you knew about and maybe not, but okay, let's just cut to the chase here. So I went from there. to this like whole summer of being like the whole time worried, seeing more and more evidence, and seeing just all the foreigners bailing out too.
Right.
That's the other thing. You know, all of a sudden it's just kind of like everyone's leaving. All the stores that service Westerners were starting to suffer. You would just like start to see like they couldn't keep their supply chains up. Their money was dropping. Their income was going. You just see one thing after another closing. It was just horrible.
Right.
You know, and at the same time they're keeping everybody locked up and stuff, and they would let you go, and they would have all these fucked up like kind of halfway measure restrictions, like
sure. Yeah. Right. So that's really a sign of fascism when there's no rhyme nor reason to the rules that they
exactly
pass. Every day it's something different, and I think that's something that globally we can all relate to. Is just this total bipolar authoritarian nature of the rules that never make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So so you saw the last time you saw her was September of 2021.
Yeah, and so the thing is, I ended up. It just got to that point where I just said, "Well, I got to get out of here. I don't feel safe here, and I need to breathe. I need to see people without a fucking rag on their face. I need to go down the street and see normal fucking people.
Right on, man." Like,
and that was the thing, that was the thing too. It was just like crazy as hell to just see all these Asian eyes on the motorbikes with the mask on, just like marching in lockstep, and and I'm just like, none of you read. None of you read.
None of you understand what's really going on.
Well, there was one of those mass studies that was done in Vietnam, and one of those ones in 2015 where they said, that'll get you sick. Don't wear them. There was one of those came out of Vietnam in 2015.
Right.
There was one. It was like funded by Australia or something like that. I found one of those. They have one. They have one of their own.
Yeah. So nobody reads. Nobody pays attention to what's how toxic it is to wear something over your over your mouth for hours and hours or days and days at a time. And you are just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I need to go. So you
well, it wasn't that as much as the genuine kind of like, I'm watching my health go down the tubes. Like I'm not able to just ride my bike,
Right. You're very active and very physical. Right. Yeah.
This whole trip over to here to Tirana has been very hard on the health. Because first I came here, I picked Tirana because for the same reason. It was kind of like there was no PCR test when I bought the ticket.
Good.
And by the time that I had to fly, there was.
Once again, they did the same thing that Serbia did to you, where they pulled a fast one.
But you know what? I worked it out because, this time, Vietnam was so fucked up that they closed the Da Nang airport. I mean, there were road checkpoints. Vietnam, Da Nang is like 20 miles, 30 kilometers, 20 miles from Hoi An. It's the closest big city. It's the third largest port. It's just, it's a place I'd go to go to a bigger city, to go and get extra things I couldn't get in Hoi An, things like that.
Sure.
They had like roadblocks up where you had to check show me your papers stuff. Roadblocks. Show me your paper roadblocks, right? Okay.
Can't live like that. You just
no. Now, you think that was bad. Now get this. Oh, pardon me. When the Da Nang airport was closed when my next flight was scheduled in September. So the only way for me to get to Hanoi to fly out was to take a private car, and bam.
Wow.
$500.
Wow.
For a 20-hour drive.
20 hours in the car.
Before I get on the plane.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This driver, it was really funny. Like Vietnam provides, I have to say.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, Vietnam is weird that way. It's kind of like, well, okay, everything's fucked up and you need to exit the country. Here's a guy with a car who happens to have a doctor in his pocket that'll give you the PCR test with the time on it that you need so you don't get fucked at the airport.
I love it.
See, that's when corruption works in your favor.
Right. Like, seriously, Luther, let me interject for 1 minute. It sounds a little bit like Pittsburgh, where people were finding, in fact, they even did a story about it in the local paper, where people were using fake vaccine records in order to live their life.
Right.
Like if you live in an area where the people take care of each other, especially where there's not a lot of money, you will find a way. And so you were able to find a car ride for 20 hours, pay $500, and get a PCR test that could give you the clearance you needed.
Exactly. I got out of the country that way, and
incredible that you got out of the country that way. That's
and this is so weird. The driver was such a nice guy. And I wasn't allowed to sit up front with him unless he put on that, the cheesy pseudo hazmat suit, the kind of the blue one that looks like the cheesiest hazmat suit in the world that you've seen, like freaks wearing in airports,
like those blue, like almost like paper kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's kind of like. If I wanted to sit in the front seat with him, he would have had to wear the Devo uniform. And I said, "Oh man, no, I'm not going to make you do that."
Wow.
That's fucked up.
The future.
Yeah, but this guy, he was a pro. Now imagine there were, it was, I think, roughly, as I recall, well, I don't remember the distance, but it was a long trip, hundreds of miles, 20-hour drive.
Right.
But there were like some crazy number of checkpoints along the way, like 17 or 19 or something like this. This guy had the checkpoints sussed out, where like he knew how to have the paperwork ready and who was going to be a pain in the ass and everything, and he boom through all of them, So there was that kind of aspect of the travel. Always find a pro, and
find the pro. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I get to the airport, and I'm in the airport, and I got to wait a few hours first thing, and I am actually like freaking out, like in the weeks leading up to me leaving. I was paranoid, and I think I was overly paranoid. I'm sure I was, but I was kind of driven to that a little bit by news items and just saying, these motherfuckers are putting people in jail for talking down about their incompetence, which is like obvious.
Right. Because you're living the incompetence. Like you're an example of like what they were doing to you. Like your experiences were nothing but incompetent.
So the thing is, like she understood why I was leaving,
Right.
Like because we had been through like our rough points in our relationship. We were like kind of,
of course.
We have a very healthy one. Like it's very smooth sailing. Like like I don't do anything for the wrong reason. And she agreed with me. Yeah, you should go because you speak your mind. Because like we even had a discussion last year. She was just like, well, why can't you just not speak your mind? Because to her,
not talk. Luther. Just don't talk. No, I get it. You're like, no, because of, I'm a human being and I'm going to say what I feel. No, I get it.
But she doesn't, and nobody has anything on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So I think that, I don't know. So you're in Albania now. Right?
Well, when I first arrived here, the first thing that I noticed was that, like the mask wearing was out the window.
Good.
It was kind of like in Rome, it was uptight. I had to play games, and like kind of like have a water bottle up to my mouth for a fucking couple hours. It was just annoying.
Pantomime the bullshit. No, I get it. Yeah.
They lost my luggage and stuff. It was like really crazy, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And like when I get to Albania, my luggage is late, and it comes like late at night and stuff. And,
of course, that's always how it is.
My first room was a horror story, and But the thing is, then I found an Airbnb with a nice Albanian dude, and I didn't love the Airbnb, but I liked it. It was okay, and the guy was really nice, and the thing is, we stayed in touch. And when I was at his place, he's in a great neighborhood. Got to explore Tirana on foot.
Okay.
Really liked it, and saw that it had possibilities. They're very easy on the American visa.
Okay.
Good. At the time, like it's kind of an American can come here, and they have a year.
Okay. When did you officially arrive? When will your year be up? When will your visa expire?
Well, that all got very complicated recently.
Everything's so complicated with you. I swear to God.
So 2 weeks ago, I have this really nice British neighborhood. He's a DJ, Jeff, and he tells me, "Oh, they changed the rules for you Americans. You better check into it." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, okay." So I find out that what the rules have changed into is that Americans only get 90 days here. But I go to the pension office, and I mean not the pension, the immigration office, and I find out that because like I get Social Security disability, that's a pension, right? Okay. And it's enough, and because of that, I can just sign up into a program, and I'm in like Flynn. Okay. So, and I just have to renew it annually.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, like I came to Albania, but the thing is, I didn't have any kind of plan. I wasn't planning at all on staying in Albania. I was planning on going to Serbia. It was just at the flights and stuff. Right. So I go to Albania, stay there a short time, go to Serbia. I thought I had a connection there where I was going to get a flat there and kind of do what I'm doing now, which is just regroup.
Right.
Yeah.
But have you decided to not do that, though? Because sometimes life happens when you're in the middle of making plans. So have you decided to stay in Albania and not go to Serbia?
Oh, well, no. I went to Serbia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've been all over the place. No, I went to Serbia.
Okay. But you went back to Albania.
No. It's not that simple.
Okay. It's never simple with you. I swear to God.
Okay. No. I went to Serbia, and I was there a few days, and things weren't panning out the way I thought they were going to. Okay. And I realized, well, I'm a 35 euro a ride away from Budapest, where I used to live.
Okay.
And so I arranged to stay at a friend's house there. And I go there, and my friend's house, he's really too into his work and stuff, and it just wasn't the right place. So I just I said, okay, I go to a youth hostel. I kind of get sidestepped in a youth hostel in Budapest, and I'm in this weird place, and I'm kind of like spending too much money and just kind of there.
Budapest. which you.
No, I'm not having fun.
Oh,
No. It's just gotten too expensive.
Oh. Okay. So yeah, I heard Budapest is amazing, though. Yeah.
Oh no, no, you got to go back a while for that.
Okay, I see. Not anymore. Okay.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over.
Like you said, the European Union has ruined everything.
Has ruined everything.
It has ruined everything. It takes all the charm out of something. When I lived in Budapest, there was only a Ronald Reagan statue near the American embassy. Now there's a George Herbert Walker Bush one too.
No thanks. So how long were you in Budapest?
Wow.
Like what? We're gonna have to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. So
oh my God,
take us from Budapest
back
to Albania.
I had all my things in Budapest, and
I was wondering about that if they're still there.
So what I decided was like to get my things together and come to Albania and start to build up my life again and start making money and stuff. But I had all this sickness and all this other stuff going on too. So it was all very strange. It was a very strange time. Like
when you don't feel well. Yeah.
Well, no, the thing is, I wasn't really sick in Budapest, but like the day after I landed in Albania, I got into this flat. The guy who was the Airbnb guy from before,
sure.
His father has a big villa, and I have a flat in the villa.
Nice.
So I've got this. It's a giant flat too. Nice. I only use about 2/3 of it.
Wow.
So and so like I've got this big flat for cheap, and it's a good place for me to build up money again and figure out the next part of my plan to get back with my wife.
Perfect. So that's where you are now, and do you think that you're going to bring her to you? You think that's a plan, or do you really want to go back?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I really love Vietnam. It's just the government that's the real problem there, and
always the problem everywhere.
Funny how that works.
It's kind of funny, like the people there. I found so many great people there, and I'm really comfortable there. I like being among the Vietnamese, and and making friends there and that kind of thing. I'm not the most social person anymore. But I used to be, but I'm not so social. But when I go out, I like to make funny friends and find the weirdos in town. And I did that in Vietnam, wherever I was. And Hoi An has some great weirdos. And,
so you really did bond well there, like that. You really do miss it. I can feel that. And so the goal is, I think, for you to get back, to wait for the area to act normal again, or as normal as it can, right?
Yeah, and here's where they are right now as far as letting people back. Well, they're really trying to open up now. Now, coincidentally, I got an article today. It came up, VN Express. And that's one of these papers I subscribe to. And they were talking about Vietnam really needing to open up to tourists a lot more. Like they already have a big plan going on to open up March 15th.
Okay.
But here's the deal right now. You have to either be one of two things. You either have to be vaxxed, or you have to have proof that you had COVID before. And I'm like, well, I'm in Albania. That's a good place to get a proof that I had COVID before. No. Okay.
Well, there you go. You know what? If I've learned anything after all the chats that we've had and the retweets and things like that, is that you will make it happen. You will make it happen. You will find a way to get that. Yeah, sure, you've had COVID, and you'll get back to
Albania.
My doctor in Albania said I had it, and I'm fine now. So.
Oh, well, I had it, but my dog ate it. And
You'll make it happen. You will.
Where did you get that idea about me?
Well,
Luther.
No, we have really, truly enjoyed talking to you. It's so refreshing to hear a personal story, that's different from anything we've actually, hosted on this channel. And we want to thank you so much for telling us your story. There's lots more about you that's just crazy and interesting and scary and harrowing and strange, but we are glad that we were able to have you on for this episode of Bookmark.
Well, I just want to do one more follow-up question, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're trying to wrap up, but
no,
I want to know what Albania and Tirana is like. I mean, do you like it? Is
like
it
the weather?
Well, here's the thing. When I came here, I really, I came here, really out of just kind of like a real basic need to not take a PCR test, right, which I had to take anyway. I ended up here, but I came in, and I just really enjoyed it from my first walk around Tirana.
Yeah.
And I live in the neighborhood where I first stayed. I'm a 10-minute walk from the first place I stayed.
Okay.
I'm a 3-minute walk from my favorite chicken place. I have my shoemaker is adorable. He's the cutest little old man on the face of the earth.
Wow.
And I have that, like the best, and he's like top quality work. Right. Really good shoemaker. It's so old school, and it's so reminiscent of Italian and Greek culture. Oh. It's kind of like this, and a little bit of Turkish influence too. But it's kind of funny. I see much more the Italian and Greek in this place than I do the Turkish, and it's kind of. I don't know. I find it easy to talk to people and stuff. I find enough English speakers to get along with. Yeah. I hear that the seaside's better.
Okay, so you're not near the sea.
Tirana's more inland.
More inland.
Yeah, I can get to the sea on a bus in less than an hour, though.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's not too bad. Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
Wow. And I've got a friend with a car, and actually, my landlord's son. I ran into him. We had beers last night.
Nice. There you go. Sounds like you're living a good life. I mean, it sounds like. I know that you say that you're hanging there to kind of figher out what your next steps are, but I don't know. I would try to bring your wife to you.
Well, her son is 11. And
okay.
I don't know how hard it would be for him to adjust.
I see.
It would be a real culture shock.
That would be a real culture shock for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Family is in Vietnam, and okay.
Yeah. I mean, all this is this is all stuff that plays in the mind.
Of course, you're being responsible, even if it means that you can't be with the woman that we want to be with. I think that's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. It's so compelling, especially the 20-hour car ride.
I know.
And leaving one country to another and all of the fuckery. It's fuckery, Luther.
Yeah.
That's what they
it's insanity, I mean, Albania, here's the thing about me in any country, though. You can drop me anywhere, and I'm going to be like okay there. I mean, like if I were in Warsaw, it'd be all right. I visited there. I'm like, I could live here. I don't love it, but it'd be okay. Albania, it feels like it has something special because, like, I kind of on some level, I feel sort of the whole history of this. This whole area, here in a deeper way,
Well, you are a creative, and you are into, you're a performer and into music, and talented, and I think that people who are on the creative spectrum tend to absorb the history of a place in a more sensitive way than just say your average tourist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get to know the real people, and that's one thing that I really wanted to drive home with bringing you on, was that you're not just a tourist traveling internationally.
No, I'm always looking for my little spot. Where am I going to make my mark? Who am I going to make friends with and have laughs with? You know?
Right.
You really, truly do absorb the culture, and I think that is what's so heartbreaking about this whole COVID fraud, this whole COVID experience, is that people like you can't absorb the world the way that you once could.
Mm-hmm.
You're being held back. You're being held back from your true nature.
Yeah, I met a guy when I was in Budapest staying in the youth hostel. Okay, when I was staying at the hostel there, I was also taking care of the shit in my storage locker and sorting that out. So that was my big job up there. And while that was going on, though, a guy started staying there. I befriended an Australian, and his wife's Russian, right? But I mean, they are legally married, and because he's Australian, and the tensions and this and that, Russia's not letting him in.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I mean, so there are people. You know, I'm not let in now because I won't take the shot. You know,
Wow. So everybody is, even people who are, taking the COVID shot and capitulating to all this, even they are being held back for other reasons now.
But I'll tell you, really, though, the most heartbreaking thing to me in all of this was when I was staying in the youth hostel in Budapest, and I kept meeting young person after young person after young person after young person who took the shot to travel. I met an army of them. It felt like I met hundreds, and most of them so super naive, like just kind of like. Just to be like the giddy traveler, not like
to be a tourist.
To be, I've never been a tourist.
No,
when I go, when I go, I'm looking for something. I'm not a typical tourist.
I know. That's why
I stay places, but these people. I'm going to take the shot, and I mean, they were like on the, I was staying near the cleanup crew and stuff of the hostel, and that's how a lot of them were. But there was a whole bunch of them though, who were hip and who were like, no, never. The majority, like the cleanup crew, were not going to take that vax.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yeah. That was part of the underground.
Yeah.
It's the working class that get it,
Yeah.
Well, we have really, really, truly enjoyed talking to you. I know that this is a little out of your element. You're much more the kind of guy that we should be sitting down at the bar and having a beer with, rather than speaking all these thousands of miles through technology. But we really appreciate you giving us your time to talk to us this evening. And
who knows? Maybe we'll do it again soon.
Yeah. And please keep sending the emails and, keep retweeting us. We really love your support. The fact that you've, been so helpful in getting our platform out there to others as well. I love listening to your tweets or reading your tweets and getting your emails and all that stuff. So I'm so glad we had an opportunity to actually make this connection.
Thank you so much. And, I'll tell you, there's this general theme that just keeps coming back to me again and again and again and again, that I really want to get into with you two. It's just so funny. This theme in you two, I'm going to send you an email about this.
Okay.
Okay.
So there is, I got something I'd really like to talk to you about. And I think that, it's kind of like the average people do extraordinary things kind of topic.
I am totally with you on that. I meet people in my own neighborhood. We live in a pretty poor neighborhood, Luther, in Pittsburgh, with not a lot of money. I think people would be really impressed and astounded with your story and all the traveling you've done. And I got to tell you, the people around here have done extraordinary things to survive what the government is doing to them. And, so that's kind of where we want to take this, I think, is we want to give, we want to start focusing a little bit more on those that are not,
that don't have that voice out there.
Don't have that voice. Not that we want to speak for them, but that's why it was so important to get you on, to hear your story. So thank you. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. And we're going to go ahead and put you in the green room. Don't go away. Okay. And so we can say goodbye to our guests, and then we'll get back with you. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Okay.
Okay, wow. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Luther is quite a character.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we knew that he was, when he started talking to it, when we started making contact with him, and we were reading his emails and his stories, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. We could, we should do something with this. Yeah. And we should have something on. Yeah. Have him on. And we should, we'd been talking about having him on, I think, for like a year.
A while.
Because I was looking back at the emails, and we're like talking about having him on.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it was time, and this was a perfect opportunity. So
yeah,
we hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Who's our next guest for Pull Quote?
Well, for Pull Quote, we are going to be talking to David and Dawn. So David.
David Parker
David
and
Parker,
Dawn Lester.
Right. Okay.
Right.
The folks that wrote the book about
what really makes you ill. Right.
And so they're going to talk to us about terrain theory and that kind of thing. So that'll be on Pull Quote. Then after them, we're having Cindy Sheehan.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So look out for David and Dawn on March 8th when we speak to them. So in a little over a week. And I'm sure that is going to be a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, they're always fun to listen to.
Yeah, we've listened to many of their interviews in the past.
The thing that kills me about when people interview them is like the shows go on for like 2 hours because they have these like questions about like, well, what about this disease?
Right.
And what about that disease?
Right.
And it's like, no, it's the same answer. They keep saying the same thing over.
They keep saying the same thing. But it's about, your terrain. It's about your health in what you put in your body.
Right.
So it'll be a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
And please join us for that on March 8th.
Yeah. Good.
So, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and sign off now. We want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you've enjoyed our conversation with our friend Luther.
And also, we have a new theme for Bookmark, so I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you all another time. Thank you, Rockfin folks, and see you next time.
See you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bookmark is made possible by our patrons and supporters. You can help us continue our work by becoming a patron at patreon.com/bookofhours. Join Rockfin or leave us a tip at rockfin.com/bookofhours, or leave us a one-time donation at paypal.me/bookofhours. Or you can use Cash App. Thank you.